Hi there, this is Sherry Hayes, and today we're going to go over how to use our handy dandy 50-cent composition books for making elementary type workbook pages. It's going to be a lot of fun. So last time we discussed ways to use a composition book for primary students. You know, those ones that are just barely learning to sound out and write. Today we're going to talk about elementary aged students, let's say up through maybe, I hate to say it, but I'll show you the levels. Okay, so this is like early elementary. This is McGuffey's first reader, and we start here, right? And then we're getting a little more complex, a little longer, right? So this is like the early part of elementary school. And it gets more complex in here. By the way, this is a great book to use. Oh, please, please do think of using the McGuffey's readers. You will not be sorry. Your kids will be so advanced in reading and writing. Just saying it. Okay, so anyway, and then up through this book. And I love, this is like my favorite of all the McGuffey's readers. This is my favorite, the second reader of the original series. It has so much, and it's just so gentle and so thorough, and kids just learn, oh, I mean, it's just, and it's interesting, and kids learn so much with this one. So anyway, so you can see all, at the end, you're like maybe fifth, sixth grade level by the time you're done with this book. It takes a couple of years to go through it, by the way. This might take a couple of years. I know it sounds crazy, but a year and a half to 2, yeah. And this will at least take a couple of years to get through. So you see how, it's not that expensive. If you think about, this is your language arts program, and you can use my gentle grammar with it, and you've got everything you need. And my lesson books are terrific for all that. But when they're on that level, they want to learn different things, right? You want to learn about the world. You want to do different things with yourself, and so you want to have something to do to reinforce that thing, to kind of have fun with what you're reading, because you're going to read aloud and explore things. Like let's take the Little House on the Prairie books. Let's say that you read this book, you read a chapter or two aloud to your kids every day, and you want them then to take and do something with this information, like do a little drawing, writing, whatever. Then the composition book is perfect for that. And basically what we talked about, having some index cards on hand. Now this is the point at which you will want to have these materials on hand and have them available, but you don't necessarily have to place them yourself. Now, of course, at the beginning of this first reader, you'll probably still have to help them. You'll probably still already want to have the card in place, and you want to have some lines for them to try. But as they progress, then you can give them more freedom, and they can start to decide what they want to do with these materials. And a good thing to have on hand for that is you can even have some colored cards to kind of mess around with. This is a set you can buy. And you can have like a box. This is it's an old ice cream box, right? And I covered it with some cheap stickers. And I like to keep my markers in a plastic bucket, because that way if the tops aren't put on all the way, they don't dry out as quickly. And then you can have like we have some Sharpies in here. Those are for the older kids, right? And when we aren't using these, they are put up under lock and key if you have little kids around. If you don't have to worry about it. We have some fine markers. We have some other types. And I have some crayons as well. We'll need crayons, and we usually put them in the same bucket or whatever. But there's, you can throw a whole bunch of crayons in there. And I don't know what that is, but anyway, you put a whole bunch of crayons in there. They can just pick and choose. And just have your glue sticks ready, and just let them go to town. Now, you might want to put some parameters in place, such as, sorry, the light just changed. You want to say, well, you're going to have to do a picture, and you're going to have to pick, and you can also, like, if you're reading a book out loud, let's say that you're reading this book, Little House on the Prairie, in the Big Woods, sorry. And let's say that in this chapter, you're going to pull out some words and you're going to put them on the board. you know, it's good to have a wipe-off board even if you homeschool. It's just, you know, and if you have 1 or 2 kids, even. It's nice to have a wipe-off board to kind of keep track of things. I'm going to use this handy-dandy little chalkboard, and I'm going to use one of those chalkboard markers. You can use a wipe-off marker, whatever. And you take your whatever you've read. Let's say that you might not want to do this with every chapter because that kind of gets, you know, really cumbersome. But let's say that you go through something significant in the book and you're really interested in it. So you can say, well, let's take some words out of here. Like I'm looking on this pages, and I see the word fried. Okay, I see the word uncle. And I might even want to take a sentence out of here and say, at last it was done. At last it was done. Now they're obviously frying some, let's see. In this chapter, let's see, they're roasting the pig's tail was such fun that it was hard to play fair, taking turns. At last it was done. It was nicely browned all over, and how good it smelled. They carried it into the yard to cool it, and even before it was cool enough, they began tasting it and burned their tongues. They ate every little bit of meat off the bones, and then they gave the bones to Jack. So you can, like, this is like a story within this book. So you can pull out some different things from that story, right? And you put it on a little board. And then you give them cards and a glue stick, or some two-sided tape if you can do that. And you give them colors and markers, and you say, well, you've got to write these words on this page, and then you've got to draw or color something from the book, something from what we just read. And so then you do this throughout. Besides vocabulary words and copying, you can write down recipes. You can let's say that you take one of the activities in the book and you try, let's say you try making butter or something. And then you have them draw something about it or make a chart. There's all kinds of things you can do. And you kind of let them freeform it, but you give them guidelines. Like I said, you put it on here first. Now, something that I also want to mention about these books is that they can be used for math and math concepts. And also, especially science and math. So, let's say that, now I've got a book here. This is an Usborne Illustrated Elementary Math Dictionary. And what you can do is you can go through and you can take the different concepts that are spoken of here, and we've done this before. And you can talk about where the numbers came from, and you can do a page on that. You can draw different number lines and talk about negative and positive numbers and parts of numbers. You can talk about number relationships. You can copying the charts in here in a different form and then talking about them. Like when you do your times table, you can have them, either you can cut and paste a times table or have them make their own times table. You can have them write the entire times table out by, what you would do is that you would take and you would go, okay, so this is going to be 1 times 2 times 3 times, and you can write that out for them, and they put in like 1, and you put the equals, right? And then they have to, you can use a ruler. Okay, this is my silly ruler, it's a giraffe ruler. But you could like draw a line here, and then they know that that's the 1 times, and you can use your ruler and just, make a page of, you could even use index cards, cut in halves as before. Excuse me. Got too much junk. This is how I roll. I'm creative, so I really have to reel myself in. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. But anyway, you can take like a part of an index card, and you can write, and then that will make it easier for you, to keep everything straight without having to draw lines all the time. And then you can just have them copy their times table when they're learning the times table. You can have them like have a place for them to draw dots about what it means each time, or whatever, however you want to do that. That's one way you can do it. Now, when you get into other concepts within the math dictionary, there's different things you can do, multiplying and dividing, and then you've got that, and they've got marbles here. let's see, there's other really cool things. Mental math. You can talk about mental math, estimating and calculating. That's kind of cool. Rounding, comparing numbers, unit amounts, proportion and ratio, percentages, and there's lots of stuff that we wait to teach kids, and they can learn lots of this stuff before they have a lot of other stuff memorized, because they see it all the time, right? If you involve them in your life, they're going to see stuff. But anyway, there's just different you could use something like this. You don't have to. You can use a different book. Another thing you can do is you can take something like this. My daughter loved horses, so I got her this book. It's a Marguerite Henry book. It's very, very well done. It's very pretty. You can buy this brand new. I bought this used, so see the bindings kind of coming out. Okay, but there are the Arab, the thoroughbred, the different types of horses. So I just had her read about a different type of horse, right? And then she could draw the horse. She could get a map and put it in and show where the horse came from. At one point, she drew a horse and showed all the different parts of the horse because she looked it up. And I think I even got her something that had, I got her a coloring book or something that had all the parts of the horse in it. It was really a lot of fun. So, but you can use something like this and make your own thing using index cards. You could have your child draw the horse or, some characteristic of the horse and then write about it here. And it's a lot of fun doing that. We have something called the ABCs of Nature. You've seen me talk about this before. They could copy one of these charts and they could talk about it, or they could do some research. Let's say that you went to the ocean, and so they start doing how waves stir the water. It's kind of interesting, and they draw that chart. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. You can use this for that. We have these books, the Golden Treasury of Knowledge, and they're a lot of fun if you can get a hold of them. And so we have the solar system. We have Thomas Alva Edison. This is gold, all about gold. So what they do is they could draw about it. They could, and actually my girls have actually done this one. They draw where it comes from. They draw its properties. They draw what its periodic chart is. They can, and it's just really a lot of fun. Now, what you can do is if you're going to do this with elementary students, if you're going to do this kind of thing, you have to number the pages because they will get lost. Especially my boys, they just go in the middle of the book. If you noticed about this one, my daughter just kind of drew, she was a little tiny, but little kids don't have really a concept that there's a beginning, middle, and end yet. So you need to number them, put the number at the top, 1, 2, 3. You don't have to do every page, but you can see. So just make sure it's numbered, and then say you go to page number 3. It really just helps them. It helps them to understand that there's an actual order. Even though this looks blank, it's really not. There's an order to it. So that's important. And sometimes what you do is if you're going to allow a kid to be freeform, you still have to have parameters, especially in the elementary years. So what you will do is you will say, okay, listen, we are going to, sorry, these are the drawings again. We are going to use this book to study, let's say that you're going to study U.S. history. Okay, so this is the Golden Book History of the United States. It's really, really sweet. It's got got a contents, which is like a timeline. It's got some beautiful illustrations. Old books are so fun, aren't they? So it starts with the Vikings, and you can have, see, here's a neat map, and you can say, okay, so on this page, what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to pull out 5, we're going to split it into 4 parts. Okay, and you can have them draw the 4 parts. You can draw the lines for the 4 parts. So you've got the number of the page, let's say is page 50, and you're going to draw the lines for the 4 parts. Now you'll have to measure this out and draw it. I know it will be a little bit of work, but it's not as much as you think. Sitting there watching a show or whatever. Okay, and you say, now in this corner, you're going to draw. In this corner, you're going to put a map. In this corner, you're going to pick 5 words, and in this corner, you're going to write 3 sentences. And you say, with everything we do, that's how we're going to do it each time. So you just draw the lines, and they know they're supposed to put something here, something, and they know what it is. And you can create a page that shows them, say, this is picture, this is map, or chart, and you can say this is words and this is sentences, and you can put that on every page. And like I said, you're probably only going to need 10 or 20 pages at a time, and then you might change and do something else. But like, set this up for them so you're setting them up for success. You've got the page number and you've got where they put each thing. Then they can glue their own card in, and if they have a map or a chart, they can glue a card and draw it, or they can print it out. You can give them, they can pick out words, or you can have words that you've written on a board for vocabulary, and here they can write their own sentences. And this is when, if they've gone through Gentle Grammar, which I have for free, or you can use it on my site, or you can buy it, then they know how to write sentences. So, like you'd say, if 3 sentences minimum, and if they go beyond that, that's their stuff. And they want to have a title. Oh, you want to put a title up here and a date, because they will forget the title and the date unless you make them. Okay, title and date. Okay, title, date, and then these 4 things. And you can just make this, and you can change this whatever order you want. If you want a bigger place for this, and you don't have to print anything out. You don't have to go to any expense. It's right here in this notebook. And you can do maybe a study. Let's say that you do a little bit of U.S. history, then you go to some natural history, or some, you want to do some Bible stories or whatever. You can follow the same thing, but just you can switch up on subjects, right? And so you can do that over and over again. Let's see. Oh, here's, you can even do something. Let's say that you want to do dinosaurs. Well, this will work with dinosaurs, but you probably want to make this bigger, because kids, boys especially, love drawing dinosaurs. This is Dinosaurs by Design. This is a really old version, but it's really a lot of fun, and kids really love it. My kids like this one. And so they have the different dinosaurs they can draw, and they can draw their own version of those. Or if they don't feel adequate, there's plenty of illustrations online. Although they'll be from an evolutionary perspective, they're still pretty much the same creatures, so you can do that. And they have Allosaurus and Diplodocus and all that kind of stuff. They're really a lot of fun. So that's something you could do. Here's the Skillcraft. I think these are Childcraft. Because I always call them Skillcraft. I don't know why. But these are Childcraft. This is great men and famous people. And so these this is for the more early elementary, that you could probably, either you could read these, see the text is pretty big, pretty easy, so they could read these stories to themselves. Columbus finds America, and Pocahontas and Captain John Smith, young George Washington. So they could read these stories, and then they could narrate them or draw them, and you could read them aloud to younger children. They're a lot of fun. This is a very fun set of books. Very, very pretty. And then there is the this is the bookshelf for boys and girls, and this has a lot of this. Follows along the same route, only they're they're a little longer, a little more complicated. And then there are other ones you can get for free from Heritage History. You can get for free. And you have to remember, you have to take all of this with a grain of salt. Okay, for the most part, these are the stories that came down with us for a long time, but there has been some revision of some of this, and I don't agree with most of it. But this was written from a secular viewpoint as well, and you'll want to get the Christian perspective. So you want to do something like The Light and the Glory or something like that, and kind of get a more Christian perspective on what has happened. Wall Builders is a good source for that. Well, I think his name is William. Yeah. Or is it Jim or something? Federer. He's really good. Oh, he's excellent. You'll love his stories. You can have the kids listen to his American Minute or whatever, and he has some really great lectures, and he's written books as well, and so that'll give you the Christian worldview perspective on everything. But this is just the basic stuff, and you can branch off from here. So anyway, so what you do then, even no matter what you're studying, you just use your format, and that's what you do for elementary. Okay, so next time what we'll do is we'll try to talk about what you can do for the upper grades with composition books. Now I'll share with you something more. Today I'd like to read you a little prayer, and maybe you could write it down, or It's just something to keep. I have started a new notebook, Bible notebook. And so I wrote this prayer. It's not original to me. I think it was based on a prayer by St. Basil. I'm not 100%. But it's really good. So let me read this prayer to you. And I'll pray as I read it. Lord, grant unto me, my Lord, grant unto me, my Lord, that with peace of mind I may face all that this new day has to bring. Grant unto me grace to surrender myself completely to your holy will. Instruct me and prepare me in all things for every hour of this day. Whatsoever tidings I may receive during the day, teach me to accept them calmly, in the firm conviction that eventualities fulfill your holy will. Govern my thoughts and feelings in all I do and say. When things unforeseen occur, let me not forget that you are working all things for my good. Teach me to behave sincerely and reasonably toward every member of my family and all other human beings, that I may not cause confusion and sorrow to anyone. Bestow upon me, my Lord, strength to endure the fatigue of the day and to bear my share in all its passing events. Guide my will and teach me to pray, to believe, to hope, to suffer, to forgive, and to love. Amen. And I'll leave you with that. Have a wonderful day. Please like and subscribe. Bye-bye.